Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I'm back with a Westworld Season 3, Episode 6 reaction and review, where I go through my thoughts and feelings on this episode. And I have to say, this episode was absolutely incredible. It really dived into a lot of characters while really feeling like classic Westworld. We're left with a lot of questions on what's going to happen next, but they stayed true to the characters in the show. And I think what Westworld proved in this episode, and what they've shown over and over again, is that they're so great at conveying emotion and drama. How we saw William's perspective on when Delores released the Rehoboam information and his shrink hung herself. And the shocking end that we see with Charlotte's family. There was so much that happened in this episode and so much to unpack. And I want to start with William. Last time we saw William, he was rendered insane, and Delores had him sent off to a recovery facility. And this facility is one run by Sirach, where he keeps all of the outliers, the people that are not easily controlled. So he tries to manipulate them in these facilities. Last episode, Bernard was showed this by Collins before he died. And here we really get a glimpse at what they do at these facilities. They let you explore who you are. And their technology is so vivid and real. William was implemented in virtual reality, and he could barely distinguish it from his reality. And we see William struggle with the same thing that he has this whole season. If he's free and evil, or blamelessly and helplessly enslaved. And we see this scene here, which I love. We get to see Jemmy Simpson back, James Delos, and he gets to sit down with different forms of himself to try and dive deeper to see if he's in control of his own actions. And what we really see here is William gains full control over who he is. And it ends with a statement that I think really defines William. James Delos asks him if he is a passenger. Did his life just happen to him, or did William choose it? And it boils down to William basically saying it doesn't matter. Because the truth of the matter is that he can control now. He can control his current actions. So I thought him killing his past selves were really great because he was killing his past. His past doesn't make him who he is. Like Delos tells him, like Insight tells him. He can be whoever he wants to be. He believes he is in control, and he took those steps in this episode. And he decided for once that he's going to be the hero. And I think this really boils down to who William is. And the reality is that William has never truly been himself. We see his kid self, and he was so drawn into books. He loved living other realities because he didn't like his own. He always felt like the world wasn't real. There were no true stakes. But then he finally found himself when he met Delores. She was the only thing real in his life, and it was a tragedy when he realized that she also wasn't real. So naturally, all William ever did was pretend. He pretended to be a kind philanthropist billionaire in the real world, and he pretended to be a monster villain in Westworld. Because in order for him to be rich and successful and thrive, he had to be the upstanding citizen that Insight wants him to be. And in order for him to return to Delores and return her to being as real as he remembers, he had to make her suffer, and he had to be a villain. So the truth is that William was never a passenger. Humans are passengers. They are a slave to their consciousness. And their core drive is to survive. Ford said in Season 2, that which is conscious can change their own core drives. And we've seen William go after what is real and what has stakes, and that's gone against his core drive of survival. And I believe here he made the decision to be a hero because that's his story. That's where it all started with Ford. In Season 2, Ford told him that this game was for him. He needs to find the door. The door begins where he ends, and it ends where he began. And what we found since then is he constantly came to terms with his actions, and he made them right. In this episode, we see Craddock. Last time William saw Craddock, he killed him. Because Craddock became the manifestation of who he was, and he killed himself because he chose to be a hero. Because when William believed that there was real stakes in Westworld, he became a good guy. And that's what he's becoming now, himself. He's been pretending his whole life. And I think this is again the next step of William entering the door. He'll be the first human to successfully walk from a human body to a host body and be completely conscious of it. And that's because his reality never belonged in a human form. He always lived in Westworld. And he always belonged with Delores. These two characters' paths always come back together. Delores came to William in her time of need, but also in his time of need. He helped her find the maze. He helped her find her own center. And in order to do that, he had to come into her world and become a villain. But now it's Dolores' turn. She came into William's world, and she became a villain to make William suffer. Because suffering makes you more real, and it makes you find who you are. So these characters are responsible for creating who they are. And I think we'll find that Dolores has a much deeper vision on what she wants for William. And I think it will result in these two characters reuniting. So much like how Dolores has a very strong path for William, and that path is going to lead back to her, she also has a strong path for Bernard. And we saw that Bernard found William in this episode, and he, Ashley, and William are going to move forward and try to save the world, whatever that entails. Because I think it's still going to take William time, and it's still going to take Bernard time to discover what saving the world really is. As Bernard right now isn't even conscious, and he's still discovering what is the right thing to do. He's caught between two species. He was programmed to believe that he's a human, but he's coming to terms with being a host. Another person who is caught right now in between realities is Charlotte. We see that she knows she has a job to do. She wants to help Dolores, but she's still caught and tethered to the family of Charlotte Hale. And it's funny because she's connecting more to her family than the real Charlotte Hale. And I think that really illustrates that there is good in Dolores. The core of who Charlotte is Dolores Abernathy. But they are deviating because their experiences are diverting. Charlotte is choosing the life of the person she is playing. Whereas Dolores has to become a villain in order for her species to survive. But we see Charlotte finally come to terms with Serac. She discovers that there's 4 hosts being printed in the building and 1 brain module. I believe 1 is Dolores, and we know it's going to be Maeve and Hector, but the other 2 are unknown. At this point, Charlotte was only able to rescue the Dolores brain module and kill Hector, but I believe the 2 remaining hosts that are there for Maeve are theoretically people who would follow Maeve. So I think we could see a return of Armistice. But then we see that tensions begin to rise with the hosts. Charlotte's family ends up getting killed, which is further going to drive her against Serac. And if it wasn't for this man coming out, I would have assumed it was Dolores, killing what's tethering Charlotte to the real Charlotte Hale, so Dolores could have more control over her. And I think we'll see that path move further with Dolores. She'll do things against her own people. But suffering is important because suffering helps you find your own center. And we see the same suffering going on with Maeve. She gets a glimpse of the valley beyond and what she could be. And Serac gives her a final warning that if she fails again, she will not have this future. It's very nice that we get to see Sizemore and Hector again, but probably for the last time, as Hector ends up getting killed, which is further going to push Maeve to fight Dolores. And I gotta say, I really disagree with Maeve at this point. With this conversation with Maeve and Dolores, Maeve refuses to trust Dolores that she actually saved her daughter. So as a mother, naturally, she's going to do anything necessary to try and get the encryption key to rescue her daughter. But in doing so, she's helping a man who wants to gain complete control over humankind. Plus, she's fighting against her own kind. So I feel like Maeve doesn't see the bigger picture. She feels like she can allow all the hosts to make their own decisions, but the decisions that she allows the hosts to make are coded for them to make them. They don't have free will. And on top of that, Maeve controls them when it suits her best. And all in all, she's doing whatever it takes to get to her daughter, which is not in the best interest of her kind. And this will only benefit Serac. And at this point, he's the protector of humankind. And if he doesn't make it through this season, then he's probably going to start a civil war between Maeve and Dolores, the 2 hosts, to see which kind is going to take over. But all in all, this episode was fantastic because it dived into the same type of theme for every character. It was finding your own center in who you are. William finally found stakes in his life to find himself again. He decided to be the hero. Charlotte finally discovered who she was, a mother and a significant other. And Maeve decided to stay true with who she is as, again, being a mother. While people like Serac are trying to impede people from being their true selves. Because as he said before, outliers are dangerous for the future of humankind. Because they understand that they weren't defined by their past decisions. Like William being an outlier deciding he's going to be a hero. Or Caleb being an outlier deciding he's going to help Dolores. Both of them are looking for something real and something true. But I think what we'll see as the show goes on, that what's real and what's true is very hard to identify. Much like how William doesn't know or doesn't want to confront that he's a passenger, Caleb is going to be dissecting his own memories and who he is. As humans, we are products of our very blurry memories. And I think the foundation of who Caleb is could have been fabricated by Sirach and Rehoboam. But that's for another video. But anyway, that's it for this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And until next time, see you guys later.